Hi, my name is Boo Payne. I'll be talking today about an ethical scenario for a behavior analyst, and I will be looking at an ethical scenario that involves confidentiality, which is about a BCBA who works in a residential program and has the obligation, as we all do in the field of behavior analysis, to maintain confidentiality. I will be looking at what confidentiality actually means in this new advent of social media and the reason for which confidentiality in our high tech age is very important in the preservation of the identities of the people that we work with, and being very careful that we do not post information on social media that becomes a challenge to the families that we work with and to being able to identify the people that we serve within our programs. The situation, the scenario I'll be describing here today is about John and his family, and the BCBA involved in this particular scenario is called Brenda. And Brenda is working in a community residential program for adults with autism and severe behavioral challenges. And she has a Facebook channel that she posts information on it about some of the challenging behaviors that she witnesses and provides services to on a daily basis within the program that she works in. And the the title of the channel is The Cure for All Behaviors. And the Facebook channel has become very popular and has attracted not only members of the general public, but has also been able to attract very close members of Brenda's family and even members of John's family, some of the people that she provides services to as a BCBA. Now, even though she does not narrate in her Facebook page any information that identifies some of the people that she serves in her program, that information nonetheless is very able to attract, I mean, the results of some of her testimonies and some of the challenges that she describes on her Facebook page have become so very intriguing to attract the attention of some members of the public, and some of the explanations that she gives on how she encounters behaviors and how she uses scientifically approved techniques in resolving those very tough circumstances have attracted so many members of John's family, who is one of the persons that she provides services to. Several members of the public have befriended her on her Facebook page, and so one of the things that has become very evident is the fact that members of the public have been posting information on complimenting her, making sure that some of the comments that they've put on have in a way been very identifying of some of the kinds of very wonderful services that she's been providing to their loved ones. Brenda's supervisors have become aware of the Facebook page because of some of the comments that even some staff within the residential program have been able to make of such a wonderful explanation of the things that she puts out on Facebook. These things have become a concern to her supervisors, who believe that in a way Brenda is falling in the domain of ethical violations involving confidentiality, because some of the family members are identifying the people that she's serving. Some of the staff are able to identify through her Facebook page some of the information that she's referring to. And so the supervisors believe that this has gone beyond being an ordinary posting into being one that has become very identifying of some of the people that she's providing services to. The historic issues behind why this is a problem are very enormous. In all situations that were found, some members of the public who have worked with some clients or people with severe disabilities who are protected for their own interest by the law have been able to have their names spread out on the internet, or people posting things about them that have caused more confidentiality issues, to the extent that HIPAA has become such a very severe violation that even the federal government has been able to provide very stringent measures to verify that no one is violating the identity or confidentiality of some of the people that they work for. So these issues of confidentiality have become very historic, and especially in the new age of media technology, in which we have platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter. All these have become an even bigger challenge on how we provide confidentiality to the people that we provide services to without divulging their identities. Now, how do we address these issues, especially of confidentiality? The major one I'll refer to at this point is that of viewing the internet as an elevator of the world, as described by Dr. Mostagahimi. Dr. Mostagahimi actually makes us see how very dangerous it is these days to post anything on the internet with the belief that this is private. There's nothing private about the information that we post on the internet again. And so putting anything on the internet that describes any individuals, putting pictures or information, even coded information, is not the best way to go around it, because it divulges, it actually identifies the people that we're trying to believe that we're not identifying in many ways. People within the general community are able to pick out from what we're describing, and in all have been able to link information to one person or the other. So, how does this influence our ethical practice of behavior analysis? If you blog about people that you serve within your program, someone else is seeing that. And the one thing you have to also be so worried about is that, as an ethical behavior analyst or a person within a profession with very stringent ethical uh, principles, you have to be careful with how you accept friendships on social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. And in all, you have to be very mindful of the fact that you do not accept friendships from families and friends of some of the people that you serve. And this may even include some of the staff that you work with. Now, the ethical questions that come out from these are very important, as these might, at the end, be in violation of some of the ethical guidelines for being a behavior analyst. And so, if there is just one thing that has to be done, it is that at the beginning of every service agreement, you have to make sure that the families of some of the people that you work for are very aware that there is going to be a boundary between some of the kinds of friendships that you could provide to them outside the home or residential setting where you provide services. You might not be able to socialize with them in public. You might not be able to accept their friendships on Facebook. And so, going out on the same situation that we described about Brenda in the slides above, it is obvious that there is going to be a breach of confidentiality the moment you go out accepting these friendships for friends and family members and relatives of the people that you provide services to. Now, looking at the scenario above about confidentiality and the Facebook postings that Brenda does, these actually fall within some of the major guidelines that the BCBA has described of one, maintaining confidentiality. As behavior analysts, our primary goal is to make sure that we protect the identity of the individuals that we serve, and to verify that, just from the beginning, again, as we actually described above, from the onset of every agreement, you have to let the families be aware of the limits of your friendships and those things that you might not be able to absorb in the middle of every treatment program that you might have. So, in all, making sure that families do not share information about their loved ones on your postings is very key, and making them aware that you will not allow any person, either very directly or indirectly, share information about the people that you support in their homes or in their residential treatment programs, either in written form, photographic form, or video format. These are very confidential topics that you have to describe and discuss with the people that you work with or the people that you provide services to. Now, another conduct of the BCBA that actually makes confidentiality very important is the responsible conduct that is described and that provides for integrity. It provides for making sure that there's clarity in the relationships that we provide for members of the public, those that we provide services to, and their families, and making sure that we avoid dual relationships. These become very problematic in making all the circumstances that we've described about confidentiality a very challenging situation to handle. What are the themes that are involved in some of those things that we've just described above? There's a clear definition of one thing that we have to do all the times as a BCBA, and that means identifying and defining our role in every contract that we provide to some of the families, or all the families rather, that we provide services to, in order to avoid circumstances like the one in which Brenda has found herself. We must be very able to provide an integrity agreement with the families and to make sure that we provide circumstances under which we self monitor, like in the postings that Brenda did. She's supposed to self monitor, making sure that she's not putting information on that pertains or inadvertently describes some of the people that she provides services to. And again, we also have the obligation to monitor the behavior of others. If people are putting information on her Facebook page describing some of the activities that she has been engaged in, she has the obligation to inform them that that's not allowed under her code of ethics. And another code of ethics of the behavior analysis or the behavior analyst code of ethics is 6.0, which talks about affirming principles. We have an obligation as BCBAs to affirm to the principles of confidentiality, to the principles of good behavior, to making sure that we disseminate information in the most appropriate way about the people that we provide services to. Looking at 8.0 about public statements, the code of ethics of the behavior analyst also makes sure that it provides us with the ability to avoid misleading and deceptive statements. So providing information about some of the people that we provide services to, even if it's coded, even if we provide that information on a Facebook page in a way that we think does not describe who we are talking about very implicitly, it could, in many ways, be very deceptive of what we're trying to relay to the public about the things that we're actually describing. And making statements to others or accepting statements made by others on our behalf could also be very misleading to the public. And so, with the behavior analyst code of ethics, we have to make sure 8.0 sticks with us all the time to avoid making misleading testimonials and making sure that we do not solicit for any attention or provide that opportunity for members of the public to provide statements on our behalf, good or bad, because these might be crossing the line between public confidentiality and the confidentiality of the people that we provide services to. The recommendations I'll provide in this context is to make sure that in the case of Brenda especially, we should be able to educate all the families that we provide services to, all the clients that we work for, and to be able to educate our staff to make sure no one is thinking that they are doing us a service, providing some of the comments and some of the literature that they'll be linking us to on social media with the belief that they are doing us a favor by trying to recommend our services to other people, by putting information there that relates to some of the kinds of services that we've provided to their loved ones, which, because of that identifying opportunity, members of the public are able to know who exactly they are describing. That alone is a recommendation that has to be put in place to verify that we do not accept public statements that would allow the public to identify the people that we're serving or provide services to in very private and confidential environments. The one recommendation to also put in place is to have written guidelines for both the parents, the guardians, and the BCBAs like Brenda to take into consideration, knowing exactly that there should be a time that these discussions are revisited and everyone understands the risk involved in the use of electronic media is very key to the provision of confidentiality, especially as we work as BCBAs.